Well, good morning everybody, welcome back to another video. I was just having a moment just watching the water rushing down the gorge here and just taking notice just how much of the recent winds we've had has impacted the woods. The woodland floor is just filled with fresh leaf fall. If you live in the UK and you're watching this video now, if you cast your mind back just maybe 2 or 3 weeks, we had Storm Amy come through here and it took a lot of the leaves off the trees already. There's still plenty on them. Providing we don't get any more like that, we're in for a good autumn. But the reason I've come here today is because it's a simple path. There's not a lot of meandering to do. It's just one walk up a very, I won't say steep, up a fairly steep inclined river valley. And it was just to prove to myself what I already know, is that and the message of the video really is that we don't have to go to these far-flung locations to find really nice images. So the footpath in some ways is restricting the amount of opportunities that I could have at my disposal if I was able to wander far and wide. Not everybody has got that opportunity at their disposal, but most people have got little narrow bands of woodland, which is what this is. So I'm going to take my time and just react to whatever takes my interest. So I'll see you in just a few seconds. So one of the points I want to make this morning, and I'll make this really quick, is that we don't have to walk great distances, as I've said, to find great images. And just 1 second, I'll just spin you around. That there is where I was just talking to you from. And just to the right of the path, just here, there's a fallen tree. We've got some sulphur tufts down there. We've got some nice little groups of them just here. And just over here, I can take you very, very quickly. Just up above this little quarry face, you've got a holly shrub, just to prove that I'm not making it up and these things do appear in reality and they're not placed. Well, just to prove the point, we got a bit of sycamore leaf there. We've got a birch leaf down here. And here, a beautiful holly leaf just positioned on this frond. That was already there when I got here. That one has fallen on it since. But compositionally, and the holly leaf is really beautiful, potential for a nice image. The reason I haven't photographed it is because these white edges, because they've no colour in them, when you reduce the luminosity in post, they just go muddy looking. They don't make for nice pictures. Had the fern been more autumnal, more yellow, I would very much have liked to have done that. I hope you can hear me all right. I've seen a potential shot, and it's one of those shots that I'm sure you've all been faced with, where you look at it and think, could it work, and can I be bothered? And when I say can I be bothered, it's because it's not an easy shot to get to. I'm wondering whether that leaf set off to one side of the composition and then the other half, some nice soft water flowing past it, will make a nice composition as sort of a, not a 2x1 exactly, maybe a 16x9 with the leaf on the left and the water on the right, and then the nice dark inky black rock. So I did get down, I had a go, and it wasn't half as bad as I thought it was going to be. Once I got the bag off, it's really just a couple of feet down to where I need to be. Perfectly safe. There's no way I'm going to end up down there. There's a nice big rock ledge here to my left hand side, so I'm not taking any risks, and I've got a nice angle on the leaf. I'm directly over the top of it. I've played around with various shutter speeds. I've got the polarizer on. I had to make sure that I didn't render the water too soft. If I allow a little bit of light to come through it, I get some colour from underneath, and that colour looks similar in tone to the leaf itself. So we've got that nice play off in colours from one side to the other. I'll just show you on the back of the camera. So before I do that, just want to make the point that there was a twig just here above the leaf, and there was a little tiny leaf fragment just here as well, which I've just moved out of the way. I want a clean composition, but the composition that I'm going for is essentially something along the lines of that, but with much less exposure, a lot darker. Hopefully you can see on the back of the camera what I'm getting. So that's the composition there that I've arrived at. Obviously the water playing a big part in this, and the leaf just sat on that lower left hand corner there. I'll just show you the image that I arrived at, which was this one here. I played around with ISOs of 100, but in the end the best result was at 400 f11 and 1/3 of a second, and that just allowed, in this top right here, if I just get rid of that those numbers, just bear with me, there's just that bit of colour just coming through the top there, which helps with the colour of the leaf. It just gives that nice diagonal colour across the frame. Really pleased with that as my first shot, so I'll put that on now. Right, so I've just spent 40 minutes photographing, where is it? There, the waterfall just there. And I don't normally do waterfalls because I often think, well, it's just blurred water, but there was something striking about this. There's some really nice shapes just at the top there, where the water's running over those slabs of rock. The rocks on either side are really dark, there's no colour on them. So what I did was I underexposed quite significantly just to expose for the water, and just focused on the movement of the water running through the centre of the frame. Now I had the camera on the vertical position, I had my 45mm lens on at first, and then I moved back to flatten the sort of composition with a 160mm lens and just focus on that central band. 45mm just showed a bit too much of the sides. So it is really all about the water and the dark framing of the edges. The reason I didn't film the process is because I was undecided, because it often just falls into that camp, like I just said, just blurry water. But I'm going to put it on, let you see what you think. In terms of speeds and ISOs, 100 ISO, I tried some at 400. The aperture that I arrived at was f13, and the shutter speeds that I liked were around about the 1 to 2 second mark, but the surroundings are really, really dark. It is all about that shape and the way that the water moves through the frame. So I'll put that on now. Fly agaric mushrooms, Amanita muscaria, for those of you that like scientific names. This birch here, I mean, it's an old tree. It's quite a significant tree. We don't often get trunks as wide as that, which really stands to reason why you would have such a cluster of beautiful fly agarics at its base. And around the back there's been a load more with it as well, and I've just missed them unfortunately. But just to give you an idea of the size of these things, I'll just go and get at the back of them. Just look at the size of that. That's an absolute whopper. That's probably the largest fly agaric mushroom that I have ever seen. No question about it. That's enormous. I have to say it pongs a bit down here. They're definitely dying off. Before I forget, I should add that they are extremely poisonous. If you can touch them, there's no problem with that, but do not do not eat them, and if you do touch them, make sure you wash your hands. Extremely poisonous. I believe the Vikings used to actually eat them as a form of hallucinogenic, but not something I'm about to try. Right, I've got myself another image, and it's a mushroom shot this time. Here we've got a fallen beech limb. Just look at the sulphur tufts all over this. Most of them, I have to say, have gone over, and we've got some developing many zone polypore. You can tell by the name, it's got the zonation going on the top there, many zone polypore. And then we got further along, or just move over to this log here, we've got the remnants of porcelain fungus, which is one that I photographed in my last video. A huge blob of it there, just dying off. But just over here, and I don't normally bother with sulphur tufts, I quite like this one growing in the crack there. I still might have a go at that, the diagonal crack looking from above. But what I really liked was this one here, and I'm thinking of it as a vertical panorama, just really cropping in tight on the top and bottom and then standing it on its end. So an upended pano, if you will. I like the way that this moss integrates with the bark, and I think I can do something with the diagonals of that moss, how it comes into play. So let's get set up and give it a go. So as you can see, that is all now set up. We've got the two clusters here, this one and this one, camera positioned directly over the top, just to make sure that we got the nice level plane of focus. I have already photographed that one, and I'll put that on screen quickly now. Didn't like that one quite as much. It's nice, but it's a bit of a large orangey yellowy blob, and it's surrounded by dark wood, so you've got a bit too much contrast for my liking. I like the contrast to be a little bit more subtle than that sometimes, and that's what we've got with the second composition. I'll put you on the back of the camera now so you can see the shot. So I will do my best to show you this composition. I'm stood precariously on top of the tree here, but you can see how I've lined the composition up dead through the centre. I haven't decided yet actually whether I am going to put this on as a vertical or a horizontal. At the moment I'm thinking vertical, but you just never know. But the idea is that I'm going to crop off the right and crop off the left and leave equal amounts of gap on both sides of the fungus, just to give it a little bit of a natural frame around it. But I do like the inclusion of this moss here, which is what we didn't have on the other composition. It just adds an extra dimension to the overall feel of the image. I don't think there's anything much more to say on it. There's a couple of bits of debris that was dotted around the sides of the mushroom, but I've flicked pretty much all of that away where it really matters for the composition. In terms of camera settings, I did have my macro lens on at first for this, but I decided that I didn't really need to use a macro lens, so I've actually got my 45 to 85, and it's at 85 at the moment. And if you want to see the settings, it's at f16, 1/8 of a second, and the ISO is 100. 2-second timer, and I've actually, just while I remember, I have put a polarizer on just to remove some of the reflected light off the moss, and just to really deepen it to be as green as I possibly can. We've also got some bit of reflected light on the caps of the fungus as well, the sulphur tufts, so I just wanted to remove that. There are problems with this. There's a couple of missing chunks here and there, but overall I think it's a really lovely image. So I'll put that on now. Well, I sincerely hoped you liked the second of those two images, I definitely preferred the second one. Let me know in the comments below which one you thought was the better of the two. I just wanted to quickly just show you down here by the river. I can't get to it, but it's well worth seeing. Just over here on the area of fallen beech tree, it's where the ground is upended and the mushrooms are feasting on the root system of the tree. Just went a bit closer. So many of them. That is a fungus called honey fungus, and you often find it in beech woodlands. Sadly though, it has gone past its best, and a lot of the fungi that I've seen today has gone past the best in terms of taking photographs of them. In fact, my cluster of sulphur tufts are probably on the cusp of being too dry looking, but I felt that the composition was so nice, it was worth a go. So I'm going to leave it there and say thank you all ever so much again for watching. Leave, as always, some comments below about the images from today. Don't forget to subscribe and all that good stuff. Give the video a nice big thumbs up. And as always, don't forget to check out my ebook, The Intimate Landscape, on my website, www.simonboothphotography.com. So until next time, I will see you in the next one. Bye for now.